there was there was no invitation for Lord Shiva and subsequently for Sati. But Mother Sati, she saw that various airplanes are flying and so many personalities, so many demigods, and especially the demigoddesses are decorating themselves very beautifully and going around. And they are talking about the sacrifice which was being performed by her father. And by this, she develops that desire that she also wants to go. So when she expresses that desire to Lord Shiva, she was quite insistent that she wants to go. But Lord Shiva was trying to dissuade her from going because he could understand that Daksha is not in very good terms. So he gives her some kind of, he gives her very nice advice that one should not go to such a place. We see that how Daksha has insulted. He has been envious. He could not, he was conducted by false ego and he insulted Lord Shiva himself. And that's why, it's not proper for you to go. So in that series of instructions, kind of instructions or talks, Lord Shiva is quoting this verse, wherein he very mercifully revealing his own transcendental position. He's telling what is his position. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. He's telling about how he is always offering obeisances to Krishna, who is the root of all existence, in pure consciousness. So this is one of the verses which Srila Prabhupada very often quoted, especially first two lines. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. Prabhupada used to quote this. So, so we know that Supreme Lord Krishna is completely pure. It is confirmed in so many places that Lord is completely pure. As Arjuna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan. So he says, Pavitram Param, you are supremely pure. Or in Ishopanishad also it is said that Shuddham, Apapa Vidham. The Lord is completely pure. There is no material contamination in him. He is completely beyond the material platform. He is always situated on the transcendental platform. There is no material anomalies, and all the defects and the problems of material world or the desires of material world do not exist in the Supreme Lord. And same way, living entity is also originally completely pure. Living entity also is beyond material existence. But Srila Prabhupada gives example, just like originally the rainwater is pure, but when it comes to the earth, it becomes mixed with the mud and it becomes muddy. Similarly, the pure consciousness of living entity gets covered over by his affinity for material enjoyment. By being in material world, the consciousness is contaminated. So the same living entity who was in association of the Supreme Lord and who could practically see the Supreme Lord always, realize the Supreme Lord always, reciprocate with the Supreme Lord always, now because of that covering of material energy, now he loses the association of the Lord. Of course, the Lord is present in the heart of everyone, but the living entity does not get access. Conditioned living entity, he does not get access to the Supreme Lord. Why? Because his consciousness is now contaminated. It is contaminated by three modes of material nature. So, as Kunti Maharani also says this, Maya Javanika Channam Adhya Dokshajam Avyayam Na Lakshase Muda Drusha Nato Natya Dharo Yatha. You are not visible to a materialistic person. Muda Drusha, whose eyes are, Muda Drusha, whose vision is foolish, if you say the literal meaning, or who has got materialistic vision, or who has got materialistic consciousness. To such a person, you are not visible. You are covered by your energy, internal energy. Nonetheless, it is also the fact, if at all a living entity wants to again gain association of the Lord, or see the Lord, or realize the Supreme Lord, what he has to do? He has to come to the platform of purity. The only pure person, because Supreme Lord is supremely pure, the only pure person can access the Supreme Lord. The only pure person can fully realize the Supreme Lord. So example is given, like just like on the sun planet, The sun planet is very fiery. So if one wants to go in the sun planet, one has to have a fiery body. Similarly, in order to go to spiritual world or realize the Supreme Lord, who is completely pure, one has to also be completely pure. Hmm. And same way, as Srila Prabhupada states in the purport, the name, fame, pastimes, paraphernalia, abode, everything of the Lord is also completely pure. Hmm. And they also cannot be realized by materially contaminated mind and senses. They cannot be also realized by the person who has got impure heart. Hmm. So that's why one has to come out of this mundane platform, platform of materialistic consciousness, the platform of desiring to enjoy this material world, and one has to come to the platform of pure spiritual existence. So Chaitanya Charitamrut Adi Lila 4.65, it is stated also, Mata Pita Sthana Gruha Shayasana Ara E Saba Krishnera Shuddha Satvera Vikara. Krishna's mother, father, abode, house, bedding, seats, and so on are all transformations of Shuddha Sattva. So these are all on the transcendental platform because Supreme Lord is absolute. And that's how his name, his paraphernalia, his abode, everything is absolute and pure. So just like one cannot understand Supreme Lord on a mundane platform, all these things, all these paraphernalia of the Lord or attributes of the Lord also cannot be understood on material platform, mundane platform. Now, as this verse, this word again and again comes in the purport as well as in the verse itself, Vasudeva, Shuddham Vishuddha, Sattvam Shuddham Vishuddham, Sattvam Vishuddham, Vasudeva Shabditam. So this Vasudeva platform, what is this Vasudeva platform? Vasudeva platform is the platform of pure consciousness, Vishuddha Sattva. It's the platform of pure consciousness. And on that platform, the Supreme Lord is revealed. So that's why it is very much important that a devotee performs devotional service in a pure manner. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavrutam anukullena krishnanushilanam bhakti uttama. So bhakti performed should be free from all materialistic motivation, the motivations for fruitive activity or speculative knowledge. Srila Prabhupada in the purport also, without quoting this verse, but has given the translation of this verse. This is the way the bhakti should be performed, and one has to have no motivations, no ulterior motivations. Anya abhilashita shunyam. And the bhakti should be performed in a anukul manner, favorable manner. So when one performs such uttama bhakti, free from all desires for fruitive activity and speculative knowledge, then one can reach to this stage of Vasudeva platform, pure platform. So in this world, we see that everything is contaminated by three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Goodness is the platform of knowledge. On passionate platform, there is a combination of knowledge and ignorance. And on the platform of ignorance, one is completely in darkness. So, Vasudeva platform or Shuddha Sattva platform, or even Prabhupada says it as Kaivalya, all these different names of similar same platform, is the platform wherein one is completely free from this effects of modes of passion and ignorance. Because even the mode of goodness in this material world is contaminated by passion and ignorance. That's why even for the mode of goodness, Supreme Lord cannot be understood on a materialistic goodness platform. But when one transcends that platform of goodness, one comes to the platform of pure goodness. Pure goodness means no contamination of passion and ignorance. It's purely goodness. On that platform, the Supreme Lord is revealed. On that platform, Lord is understood. So that's what is called as Vasudeva platform. So what is this process basically of coming to this Vasudeva platform, which we just now discussed briefly? The process is the process of devotional service, Bhakti Yoga. The Bhakti Yoga is so powerful. Simply by practice of Bhakti Yoga, one can become completely cleansed of the influence of these modes of material nature, and one can come to the platform of purity. One's heart can be completely purified. So in the purport, Prabhupada writes, that's why one has to follow the rules and regulations of bhakti without desires for material gain. Hmm. Again, similar thing. Without desires for material gain, one has to practice devotional service, and one has to follow the rules and regulations of bhakti. When one follows the rules and regulations of bhakti, there are so many rules and regulations given in the scriptures, especially for devotees in the nectar of devotion. Rupa Goswami gives various principles, various rules and regulations. But when we follow these rules and regulations, what is the effect? The effect is that one becomes completely freed from this passion and ignorance. One is elevated to the platform of goodness, and eventually one can transcend the goodness also. The analogy is given that goodness is like the springboard, just like the person who is swimming. So before entering into the swimming water, that pool, swimming pool, he runs, and he jumps on the springboard, and from that he jumps into the pool of water. Or it's like uh, what do you call it? Runway, airport runway, from which the plane can take off, and can fly into the sky. So same way, by following the rules and regulations of devotional service, one eventually comes to the platform of goodness. And when one continues to practice devotional service, one is freed from that material platform of goodness also, and one comes to pure platform of transcendental goodness, or Vishuddha platform. So that's what bhakti is all about. Prabhupada also quoted this last line, Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tattva-ratvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevana bhakti ruchyate. What is bhakti? Giving up all material designations. These material designations are also a big contamination. Thinking that I am this body, and then what is mine? Everything related to this body is mine. So identification with this body and the things of this material, thinking them to be ourselves, these are all material contaminations. So when one becomes free from such upadhis, when one becomes free from such contaminations and engages one's senses into the service of the Lord, Rishikesha. Senses are Rishika and Lord is Rishikesha. So when one engages oneself like that in the service of the Lord, that is called as bhakti. So currently, the senses of conditioned soul, they are accustomed to be engaged into material service or material engagements. They are accustomed to be engaged in material way. That's why eyes want to see beautiful pictures, ears want to hear beautiful music, very sweet melodious music, but these are all mundane platform. And because of that, the living entity gets more and more bound because of these sense gratificatory desires and the sense gratificatory activities. The living entity gets more and more bound, and he goes farther and farther away from Krishna. So that's why it is recommended that one has to engage these senses in the service of the Lord. And in this way, the senses will be purified, and then one eventually will become purified also. One's mind and heart will become purified. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also quoted the effect of holy names Sankirtan as Cheto Darpana Marjanam. The mind becomes completely purified. And as Prabhupada quotes in the purport, that when the mind is purified, mind is like compared to be mirror. When the mirror is covered with the dust, we cannot see our own image, neither we can see anybody's image. Similarly, when our mind is contaminated, neither we can understand ourselves completely, nor this material world completely, nor Supreme Lord completely. But when by the process of Bhakti Yoga, by engaging mind and senses in the service of the Lord, when the mind is cleansed, then one can realize everything in its perfect position. So that's why the process of Bhakti Yoga is very, very important. So here we see that this is what Lord Shiva was always doing. His mind has been always completely pure. There is no contamination in his mind. And that's why always Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, was revealed to him. And what he was doing always? He was always offering obeisances to him. As somebody gets revelation of the Lord, what he will do naturally? A devotee will offer him obeisances. So he was constantly offering obeisances unto the Supreme Lord. But Daksha could not understand this. When he was sitting in the assembly of Daksha, when Daksha entered, Daksha got offended because Lord Shiva did not get up and offer him respects. But he did not understand. Ordinarily, this may be the etiquette that one should respect one's father-in-law and all that. But Daksha did not understand that Lord Shiva was situated completely on that Vasudeva platform, Shuddha Sattva platform. And then that platform, he was offering always obeisances to the Supreme Lord. And Yatha Taror Mula Nishechatena Trupenti Tatsankanda Bhujopashakha. By offering obeisances to the Lord, he was offering obeisances to everyone. Just like by watering the root of the tree, everything is, all its branches, flowers, fruits are nourished. Similarly, by offering obeisances to the Lord, Lord Shiva was offering obeisances to everyone, including Daksha. But he did not realize this, and he very badly insulted Lord Shiva. So we had to also, Prabhupada writes in this particular purport that these all actions, of devotional service and this platform of Shuddha Sattva, these are all under the internal energy of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Daivim Prakriti Mashritaha Bhajanti Ananya Manaso Nyatva Bhutadi Mavyayam. He says that those who are great devotees, great souls, what they do, they take shelter of internal energy of the Lord. That internal energy is Srimati Radharani, Srimati Lakshmi Devi. So they are the internal energy of the Lord. And devotees always take shelter of this internal energy of the Lord. And when one is surcharged by the internal energy of the Lord, one becomes engaged into perpetual devotional service. And in this way, one's consciousness of Krishna is revived. One's pure consciousness is revived, and the Supreme Lord becomes revealed to the person. So, bhajanti ananya manaso. One has to render devotional service ananya manaso. Ananya manaso means without any deviation. One should not be deviated by any other distractions of this world. That is what the platform is required. So we see in the scriptures many such examples, especially in Bhagavatam, of how Lord is so wonderfully revealing himself to his devotees. The story of Narada boy is itself a wonderful example of this particular concept. How Narada boy tried, when his mother died, he had already been purified because of association of Bhaktivedantas, as Dhruva Maharaj Prabhu was telling just before this presentation, that he already was purified by the association of Bhaktivedantas, and he took that spiritual life very, very seriously. And when his mother died, he went out, he left his home, and he started wandering. And eventually he meditated on the Supreme Lord, and then Supreme Lord appeared within his heart. So because he meditated without any material desire, Supreme Lord appeared within his heart, but then Lord disappeared, and he again tried to meditate on him, on Supreme Lord. But then he could not gain. He could not get the darshan of Supreme Lord again. But out of causeless mercy, Krishna spoke to him that Avipakva Kashayanam Durdarshoham Kuyoginam. He said, I am not visible to those who are not yet freed from material contamination. So he advised him to continue his bhakti. And eventually we see that by doing so, Narada boy became a great associate of the Supreme Lord called Narad Muni. So this pastime was spoken by Narad Muni himself to his disciple, great disciple Vyasadeva. And after receiving those instructions from Vyasadeva, Vyasadeva himself started meditating on the Supreme Lord. Bhakti yogena manasi pranyak samyak pranihite amale. Amale means with pure mind, without any contamination. He started meditating on the Supreme Lord. And what was the result? Apashat purusham purnam maya tadapashrayam. He got the darshan of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And also he saw material energy, and which was completely under control. And also he got darshan of the abode of the Supreme Lord, paraphernalia of the Supreme Lord. He got to see internal energy of the Lord, and everything he could get darshan of. So all these things he got darshan of. Because of that, bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihite amale. Because of in pure mind, in pure consciousness, he was meditating on the Supreme Lord. Similarly, Dhruva Maharaj was purified because of the instructions of Narad Muni, and he practiced devotional service very, very sincerely. And because of that, eventually he also got darshan of the Supreme Lord. So in this way, there are so many examples that Supreme Lord revealed himself to those who served him, who rendered devotional service to him without any material motivations. So, one more thing Prabhupada says in the purport, that one cannot command Supreme Lord to appear. Isn't it? In this world, we see so many people are demanding, if God is existing, I want to see right now. So there was one person, he said, if God is existing, I'll count till 10. And if God is existing, he should come before me. And he started counting 9, 10, 9, 8, like that. And then by the time he said 0, no God appeared to him. He said, this shows God does not exist. And in this way, he declared atheism. And so many foolish people were around him, they also became atheist. So God is not like this. Can you command even Prime Minister of India like this, or any country? I'll count 10 to 0, countdown, and Prime Minister must appear in front of me. Even Prime Minister of India will not appear. Even the, I think, this collector, district collector won't appear. How Supreme Lord will appear? So Prabhupada in Hindi would say, okay, I better speak in English. God is not your father's servant, that he can he can appear like this. So how God is, how this is, there is a process. There is a process to see Lord. And that process is mentioned by Lord Shiva over here in this verse. So, Atha Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyehi sevon mukhyehi jivvadau swayameva spurati. By our materialistic senses, mundane senses, one cannot realize name, fame, pastimes, paraphernalia, form of the Lord, qualities of the Lord. But what is the qualification? The qualification is Sevon Mukha. One has to become Sevon Mukha. One has to become inclined to devotional service. So Krishna cannot be demanded or commanded to come in front of us. But when he becomes pleased with the pure devotional service of the devotee, then Swayam eva Spuratiyada, he himself reveal himself. He'll himself come in front of the devotee, and he will engage into transcendental loving relationship with the devotee. So for that, what is required? Sevon Mukha. One has to become Sevon Mukha. So that's why, the rendering of devotional service, especially beginning with Jivvadau, with the tongue, is very important. With tongue, as Prabhupada says, there are two functions of the tongue, vibrating and tasting. So one can chant the holy names and taste Krishna Prasadam. And beginning with that, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, all these various process of devotional service, if one performs them very sincerely, then what will happen? Then when the Lord will become pleased by such sincere practice of a devotee, then through internal energy, he appears himself. He manifests himself to the devotee through his internal energy. So as such, Lord is there, present in our own heart. But he is not accessible for the conditioned soul because of that material covering. But when devotee renders devotional service, the Lord himself removes that covering, the internal energy of the Lord removes that covering, and then the Lord becomes visible for the devotee. A devotee can realize the Supreme Lord. So, in our life also, we are all trying. This is our goal, isn't it? That we want to see the Lord. We want to associate with the Lord. We want to assist the Lord in his pastimes. We want to render transcendental loving service for the Lord. And what is the way? Currently, we are lost the sight of the Lord. At least myself, I lost the sight of the Lord. I am not able to perceive the Lord's presence. But here Lord Shiva and Srila Prabhupada has given us the process that I must render devotional service purely without any motivations, ulterior motivations, of name, fame, recognition. So many different motivations I can say are there in my heart in devotional service. When one comes in devotional service, so many wonderful effects one get, which are called as byproducts of devotional service in terms of name, fame, recognition, facilities. But these are all obstacles in devotional service. So uh, it is a great lesson that I had to render such devotional service, follow the principles, rules, and regulations of devotional service without any desire for material gain. And then surely, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, Vaishnavas, it will be possible for myself, fallen soul like myself, also to realize the Supreme Lord, provided that I follow these instructions. And Prabhupada is so wonderful that he has given this opportunity to see Lord for everyone in this creation. Ordinary conditioned souls, they had no hope and no chance to realize the Supreme Lord. In fact, due to different mental concoctions, due to their different speculations, they have been going farther and farther away from Lord. And there was no access, for the Lord, for the conditioned souls. But it was Srila Prabhupada who propagated this transcendental knowledge. He propagated this method of devotional service. And because of which, now we can see that so many living entities, conditioned souls, they are getting benefited. They are getting this opportunity that their heart and mind will be completely purified of these material contaminations. And because of that, one day they'll be able to see Krishna face to face. They'll be able to enter into Krishna's eternal pastimes and associate with Krishna eternally over there. So how much grateful we have to be for Srila Prabhupada for his wonderful mission of giving Krishna consciousness to everyone. So very soon Janmashtami is approaching. And as Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport, Vasudev comes from Vasudev, isn't it? Vasudev is also name of father of the Lord. And the meaning of Vasudev is also the platform of Shuddha Sattva, because Vasudev was on the platform of pure goodness. He had such pure devotion towards Krishna. He was ready to undergo any tribulations for Krishna to appear. His heart and mind was completely pure. And that's why Krishna appeared to him. And Krishna became celebrated as son of Vasudev. And that's why he was called Vasudev also. So Janmashtami is approaching. And it's a wonderful opportunity for all of us also to try to prepare our heart for the appearance of Supreme Lord. Prepare our heart by trying to become free from all material contaminations. Prepare our heart by trying to become free from material motivations and sincerely practice the devotional service, especially the process of chanting and hearing, which is the most important factor in Kali Yuga. Most important process in Kali Yuga is about chanting and hearing. By hearing, chanting and hearing about the Lord, then our hearts also can become cleansed. And yes, the Supreme Lord will be born within our own consciousness also. He'll appear within our own consciousness also, just like he appeared to Shri Vasudev. He appeared to Shri Vasudev. And same way, we also have that opportunity on this occasion. So we can prepare our consciousness for Janmashtami with this proper understanding, which was given by Lord Shiva. So in conclusion, we can understand that from this verse, we can understand that how a person who is contaminated by material nature, material desires, he cannot understand Supreme Lord through his mundane senses. But when one becomes purified by devotional service, the Supreme Lord himself will reveal himself to the person. And in that state, one can always have very loving reciprocation with the Supreme Lord. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So I'd like to stop here. Any comments, improvements? Yes, Hirshu.
हरे कृष्ण। बहुत सुंदर कक्षा है कि आप तो हमेशा देते हैं, लेकिन अंतिम जो था तो इम्प्रूवमेंट नहीं है, लेकिन ये बहुत अच्छी बात है। लेकिन इस तात्पर्य में और श्लोक में जो है तो सब आपने सब कवर कर लिया। लेकिन आपने बोला कि प्रिपेयर योर सेल्फ, तो ये ठीक है, आपका भाव है, बहुत अच्छा भाव है कि आप स्टूडेंट को प्रचार करते हैं तो स्टूडेंट को हमेशा इंस्ट्रक्शन देना पड़ता है, तो वो भाव आ ही जाता है। तो ये सब समकक्ष लोग हैं, वरिष्ठों के सामने हम जो अभी गोपाल चंपू है, समर्पण गोपुर है, ये तो इवोल्यूशन कर रहे हैं आपका, तो आपको माइनस मार्क कर सकते हैं क्यों इंस्ट्रक्शन दे रहे हैं हमें बोले। तो बाकी बहुत सुंदर कक्षा हुई।
Instruction for myself.
हरे थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Please ask questions. Those who ask questions, they'll get 5 marks.
हरे कृष्णा। तो हमारे हृदय में अशुद्धता तो भरी है हर एक के जीव में, लेकिन हम चाहते हैं कि हम शुद्ध हो, और हम ये भी चाहते हैं कि ये कंटामिनेशन हमारे हृदय में ये नहीं आ जाए, तो भी बार बार आता है। तो उसके लिए हमें हमारे दैनंदिन जीवन में क्या करना चाहिए कि ये दूषण जो है, अभी हम सोच लेते हैं, पढ़ते हैं और प्रभात बोल रहे हैं, तो बहुत ऐसा रहता है कि ठीक है मेरे मन में कोई दोष ना आए, कोई काम क्रोध उत्पन्न न हो जाए। लेकिन जैसे हम समाज में जाते हैं या कुछ चीजें देखते हैं, तो उसके प्रति लोभ प्राप्त होता है, जैसे कि लैपटॉप देखा, ये देखा कि मुझे, जो किसी के जो भी देखते हैं तो लोभ है, काम है, या कुछ गलत हो रहा है तो क्रोध भी आता है। ये चीजें तो बार बार आती है, तो उसी जब आती है तो उस टाइम आएगी, लेकिन उसको तुरंत कैसे भूल जाना चाहिए?
तुरंत कैसे भूल जाना चाहिए उसको?
छोड़ देना।
तो क्योंकि हम भौतिक जीवन में बहुत भौतिक दुनिया में बहुत बहुत जन्मों से है, और हमारा जो स्वभाव है, इंक्लिनेशन जो है वो भौतिक जो दुर्गुण है उसकी तरफ ज्यादा हो गया है एक बद्ध जीवात्मा का। तो इसीलिए उसके लिए एक डिफॉल्ट सेटिंग जैसा हो जाता है कि हमेशा वो जो कंटामिनेशन है, जो दुर्गुण है, उसको जल्दी पकड़ लेता है, और सद्गुण को पकड़ने के लिए बहुत समय लगता है। परंतु जैसे प्रभुपाद ने इधर शिल प्रभुपाद जी ने कहा है तात्पर्य में कि अगर हम अभ्यास योग युक्तेन, अगर हम उसका प्रयास करेंगे और भक्तों के संग में रहेंगे, तो धीरे धीरे क्या होगा कि हमारा हृदय शुद्ध हो जाएगा, और वो उस स्तर पर हम आ पाएंगे कि हम जो है वो पूरा जो गलत विचार है या गलत भावनाएं है उससे पूरा शुद्ध हो जाएंगे। तो जब भी, परंतु अगर जिस उस समय क्या करें जब ऐसी गलत भावनाएं आती है, तो तुरंत हमारे, अर्थात मैं आपको उपदेश नहीं देना चाहता पर मेरे लिए बताता कि अ, हम अ, हम जो है उसका कुछ तो पॉजिटिव, उसका कुछ तो सकारात्मक भक्ति में उसका कुछ तो रिप्लेसमेंट कर सकते हैं। अगर हमको कुछ गलत ख्याल आते हैं जो स्त्री के बारे में हो, तो हम भगवान के बारे में सोच सकते हैं, क्योंकि स्त्री का रूप देख के अगर कुछ, तो भगवान का रूप के बारे में सोच सकते हैं। तो ऐसा हम जब प्रयास करेंगे, ये अभ्यास जब करेंगे, जैसे मराठी में भी ये है अभ्यास, अभ्यास यानी प्रैक्टिस, सराव। तो ऐसे जब प्रयास करेंगे तो धीरे धीरे हो जाएगा, धीरे धीरे हमारा वो चेतना शुद्ध हो जाएगा, और हमारा डिफॉल्ट सेटिंग बदल जाएगा। वो क्या हो जाएगा कि हम हमेशा सकारात्मक चीजें भगवान के बारे में ही सोचेंगे, भगवान के बारे में ही ख्याल आएंगे। तो इसलिए श्री रूप गोस्वामी कहते हैं उत्साह, निश्चयात, धैर्यात, ये तीनों चीजें जरूरी है भक्ति में, कि हमको हतोत्साहित नहीं होना है। हालांकि हमारे जीवन में कभी कभी कुछ गलत ख्याल आते हैं, कुछ गलतियां होती है, तो भी हतोत्साहित नहीं होना है, उत्साह जारी रखना है, भगवान के ऊपर विश्वास रखना है, और धैर्य भी रखना है। अ पेशेंट हैज टू बी पेशेंट, है कि नहीं? एक जो रोगी है उसको थोड़ा धैर्य रखना चाहते हैं, पड़ता है, क्योंकि तुरंत जो रोग है वो तुरंत क्योर नहीं होता है, तुरंत ठीक नहीं होता है। तो परंतु अगर वो औषधि लेते रहता है और जो डॉक्टर ने दिए हुए नियमों का पालन करते रहता है, तो जल्दी ही वो ठीक हो जाएगा।
Hare Krishna. So here we saw that Daksha Prajapati is not in Shuddha Sattva, but Lord Shiva is meditating upon the Shuddha Sattva. So for both of them, the service is given by the Lord. For one is producing the children and maintaining the Daksha of the universe. And another is Lord Shiva, he's always in trance. So Daksha Prajapati is interacting with the material energy. So he is getting affected. So in our day-to-day life, so what we should do? We should always do our sadhana and not do service in which the material energy is involved. So how this verse is practically applicable for sadhakas?
As such, Lord Shiva is also associating with material energy, but he is controlling material energy. His wife is material energy herself. So, but he doesn't get affected by her. He's controller of hers, So that way, as your question is about how in our practical day-to-day life we can become free from material energy, effects of material energy, because we are in material world, and there are effects of material world which happen upon us. So, to my limited understanding, I can just say some few words. Maybe other devotees can add more. That certainly the material energy is acting, but the devotee, by the power of his knowledge, he can see the things through eyes of scriptures. So even one sees connection of Krishna to everything, that helps us to come out of that material platform. One lecture His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj was telling that the main problem in our life is that we don't see our connection to Krishna. In our day-to-day life, although we know it as a concept that we have to, everything is connected to the Lord. But he said, Maharaj was telling that in day-to-day life, we should be able to see the connection of Krishna in everything. Then that material consciousness will change into spiritual consciousness. So for that, certainly again, the same process is there, that we have to, study the scriptures, hear more and more from spiritual master. By that, our intelligence will become strong. We have to associate with the advanced devotees, because they are having that particular capacity or ability to always be Krishna conscious. So Srila Prabhupada, when he would be walking around, he could see everything in connection with Krishna. And that's how, devotees also, through by his association, they learned that particular thing. They also learned that particular aspect from Srila Prabhupada. So by associating with the advanced devotees and trying our best to see things in connection of Krishna, so that way it will take place. This is my just humble understanding. Some devotees can add further.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your class. Like I felt like style of Srila Prabhupada, one word you explained and cross-referencing. Thank you. One question came to my mind. It may be offensive towards Shiva, however, it has come, so I express. It appears that Shiva is boasting about his own consciousness here. I am in high consciousness. So, but I don't think so. Shiva is a Vaishnavana Meta Shambhu. So, how am I to understand that such thing is been revealed? So, how to understand Shiva, and in our personal day-to-day dealings with devotees, and whether such thing can be done?
Actually, again, to my understanding, Lord Shiva is not boasting himself, but he's explaining the concept to Mother Parvati, Mother Sati, that, if you see before verses, Lord Shiva was telling her, in essence, he was telling her that, see, your father Daksha had been disrespectful towards me. And he could not understand, he thought that I did not respect him. But he wanted to clarify his position. It's not that I am disrespecting, I am always offering obeisances to Lord Vishnu. And that way, I am respecting everyone. So this way, there was no reason for Daksha to be offended with me, and he has unnecessarily criticized me. So he wanted to give that clarification to Mother Sati so that she will not, misunderstand him. But in general, from the characteristics of Lord Shiva, we can understand how such a great Vaishnava he is, isn't it? So we can see the Lord Shiva's characteristics from overall his life, how he always in dancing and chanting in ecstasy in Lord. So how this is possible without having that element of humility? He must be having that element of humility. He's always bowing down to the Lord. That means he has that humility. Otherwise, how he'll bow down, isn't it? So that's how he's just clarifying his position. And even in Krishna, he spoke all about all his opulences to Arjun, because Arjun inquired, of course, and he wanted to give that understanding to Arjun. And certainly Arjun was very intimate to him, and that's why he gave. Similarly, Sati is very intimate personality. In order to clarify his position, he gave that explanation to Mother Parvati, Sati. But if you feel somebody, if they feel something to be corrected, maybe this is just some understanding. What is
What you said exactly, but I'll just read as it is. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that actually Parvati doubted that, okay, you are offering obeisances to Shiva, always to Lord. That is previous verse to this verse. Then you would have offered to him, what is the problem? So he said that, I am in Samadhi, and Samadhi, I can't control Samadhi, Samadhi controls me.
That is also in their purport. Prabhupada writes that.
Yeah, so it is not that, so Parvati is doubting him. Later Vishwanath is saying that, I understand you are not having any negativity, but why is the problem? You would have offered obeisances. So he said, no, I can't control my Samadhi. Samadhi controls me.
By Lord.
So this is Vishwanath saying. So,
Yeah, and Prabhupada also writing same thing in purport. It's not under the control of devotee. It's under the control of Supreme Lord. Thank you.
So we thank His Grace Amshu Prabhu for such a nectarine presentation. It was very wonderful. And also we'd like to thank His Grace Dhirishan Prabhu. He taught us very valuable lesson. Like while many times we give presentation, so we go in the flow and we forget also who are audience in front of us, and we may instruct many times. But also we should learn one thing, like somebody is on Vasasan, whatever he says, we have to respect. And we should not correct him directly. And that is disrespect to the, that asan. So we should also learn that when somebody is awarded that seat to speak, so we should respect that person, and we can clarify later on individually. But when in public, we should not, correct them. That is not a good standard. Otherwise, he also becomes angry, and he will counter, and then it will appear. Everybody can assemble there to purification each other, means to purify themselves, but they purify each other. That is not a good standard, So we are Vaishnavas. So I appreciate Amshu Prabhu for taking it very positively. He didn't erupted out and, gave back something like that, but he, like Lord Shiva, tolerated. So I thank him, and I thank the devotees also. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Next presentation after 10 minutes. Yeah. See, those who give comments, they forget that they are giving comments. Humility has to be, it's a Vaishnavism. So we cannot just go on the name of comment or whatever. That is their humility. They say give comments, but it's not our duty to give comments. See, they can ask, but we have to follow etiquettes, that asking. No, you serve in person. You don't serve in public, which is not palatable. Okay, no? Means ambience should not get disturbed by our comments. If it's something enhancing, then it's good. Okay, so this also we have to learn in presentation on asan and below asan what mood we should have. Otherwise, we are just good orators, but practically our whole day also people watch us, not just on when we speak, but after that also people watch how we are behaving, how we are acting. So it should match, to the whole process. Thank you, Mr. Prabhu.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. We are reading from Canto 6th, Chapter 3rd, entitled Yamraj Instructs His Messengers. Shloka number, verse number 19. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam nave vidur rishyo napi devaha. Na siddha mukhya asura manushya kuto nu vidyadhara charanadayaha. Translation. Real religious principles are enacted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although fully situated in the mode of goodness, even the great rishis who occupy the topmost planets cannot ascertain the real religious principles. Nor can the demigods or the leaders of Siddhaloka, to say nothing of the asuras, ordinary human beings, Vidyadharas and Charanas. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When challenged by the Vishnu Dutas to describe the principles of religion, the Yamaduta said, Veda pranahito dharmaha. The religious principles are the principles enacted in the Vedic literature. They did not know, however, that the Vedic literature contains ritualistic ceremonies that are not transcendental, but are meant to keep peace and order among materialistic persons in the material world. Real religious principles are nisthaya gunya, above the three modes of material nature, or transcendental. The Yamadutas did not know these transcendental religious principles, and therefore, when prevented from arresting Ajamil, they were surprised. Materialistic persons who attach all their faith to the Vedic rituals are described in Bhagavad Gita 2:42, wherein Krishna says, Veda Vadarataha Partha Nanyad Astiti Vadinaha. The supposed followers of the Vedas say that there is nothing beyond the Vedic ceremonies. Indeed, there is a group of men in India who are very fond of the Vedic rituals, not understanding the meaning of these rituals, which are intended to elevate one gradually to the transcendental platform of knowing Krishna. Vedescha sarver ahameva vedya. Those who do not know this principle but who simply attach their faith to the Vedic rituals are called Vedavadarataha. Herein it is stated that the real religious principle is that which is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That principle is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. One should give up all other duties and surrender unto the lotus feet of Krishna. That is a real religious principle everyone should follow. Even though one follows Vedic scriptures, one may not know this transcendental principle, for it is not known to everyone. To say nothing of human beings, even the demigods in the upper planetary systems are unaware of it. This transcendental religious principle must be understood from the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly or from his special representative, as stated in the next verses. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama. Hare Krishna. So I seek blessings of devotees present here. That that whatever I speak, I repeat the words of Acharyas, and as service to all devotees, and to develop my own conviction and realization, I repeat the words which I have heard from my superiors and other acharyas. So in this, we are finding this chapter 3rd, which is an episode of one of the Mahajan, Yamraj. So we find that from Canto 5th, the last chapter describes that how there are so many severe punishments for the rebellious conditioned souls, where they are punished in hellish planets. So, as a genuine, wonderful Vaishnava, Parikshit Maharaj felt compassion, and he asked a question that what about the deliverance of these rebellious souls? So, Canto 6 started with Shukdev Goswami telling the different paths. First, he described the path of atonement, which is Karma Kanda. He gave example of elephant bathing, like, that Miss Parikshit Maharaj told that it's not suitable to get completely purified. Just like an elephant bathing or cleansing the liquor pot, no matter how much ever it is cleansed, the smell remains. So the desire to commit sinful activity will remain despite performing repeated atonements. So like this, the Karma Kanda section was refused as a proper process to get purified, or to get rid of, or to solve the problem of birth and death. And then Shukdev Goswami describes Gyan Kanda section. And then again, that was also refuted. Parikshit Maharaj was not very convinced about that also, because even that also does not purify the heart. Even that is also not solution of suffering of birth and death, or the continuation of birth and death. And then second chapter onwards, the superiority of devotional service was established by chanting holy names. And where the example was given, just like, that like fire burns the dry grass, same way the path of devotional service is so powerful that it burns, or it uproots all the sinful desires itself from the heart of the conditioned soul and frees him completely. Third chapter, first and second verse, Parikshit Maharaj inquired about, of course, this all was established by narrating the pastime of Ajamil, that how Ajamil could perfect his life by taking shelter of the path of bhakti. But this, like Prabhupada writing here in purport, these are the transcendental principles which Yamdutas were unaware of. So they got bewildered that how in history till now nobody has stopped us from executing the instruction of our master, but this has happened today. So they became confused because they were unaware of the transcendental principles of devotional service. But this was known very well to Yamaraj. And then, so in third chapter, Parikshit Maharaj is inquiring what was Yamaraj's response. And then verse number 3 to 10, Yamdutas are asking about Supreme Controller. That is there somebody else above you also. We were in conception that you are the whole and soul. And then verse number 11 to 21, which is this section. Yamaraj is describing the position of the Supreme Lord and the devotees and Bhagavad Dharma, in which we are reading verse number 19, where Yamaraj is telling the confidential nature of Dharma. And then subsequently, the later part of the chapter covers 22nd to 30th verse. Yamaraj is glorifying the process of chanting. And last part of this chapter tells Shukdev Goswami is glorifying the process of chanting. So two Mahajanas are glorifying the process of chanting in this chapter. So coming to this particular verse which we have taken, Yamaraj is explaining that who is the Supreme Controller and how all are bound by his instructions. So 18th verse, Yamaraj says, the order carriers of Lord Vishnu who are worshipped even by the demigods possess wonderful bodily features. They protect the devotees from the Lord, devotees of the Lord from hands of enemies. And then linked to the 19th verse, it says, if they protect the devotees, why are they favoring adharma? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur tells that Yamaraj, you are saying that they protect the devotees, but then why are they supporting adharma by protecting this Ajamil also? So Prabhupada is writing why they have become confused, because they are unaware of transcendental principles, the transcendental religious principles of the path of bhakti. Main philosophical concept of this verse is why dharma is very, very confidential. So I was just trying to figure out some of the reasons what makes dharma to be very confidential Though we are distributing so many Bhagavad Gitas and so many Bhagavatam sets, so many people have Bhagavad Gita, so many people have Bhagavatam, so many are aware of it, but still it remains confidential. So one of the reason is the message has to be received in proper parampara. Like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, evam parampara praptam imam rajasya viduhu. So unless it's received in parampara, it will not be revealed, because it is not by our understanding, but it is by the grace of the parampara. And the next reason is Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam taya prahata chetasam. To the degree there is enjoying mentality or the heart filled with gross sex desires or subtle sex desires or puja la pratishtha of this world, to that degree also, despite knowing all the dharma definition and Gita and Bhagavad, the message remains actually confidential, because there will be no application. Why he will not apply? Because he has ulterior motives. Like we see, currently we are hearing in Bhagavatam that Hiranyakashipu is speaking such profound philosophy. Hiranyakashipu spoke philosophy, Kamsa spoke philosophy. So the demons also, they were they are very good in their philosophical understanding. So apparently it looks that they have understood dharma, but actually they were not aware of dharma. Because if they were actually aware of dharma, why did they take adharmic side? Because dharma is not just knowing something, it is about living by it. So knowing is different, and getting affected by application of that knowledge is different. So dharma is not just knowledge, but it's a life of surrender to Krishna, following in the footsteps of acharyas and mahajanas. So this is one of the reasons because of which dharma remains confidential for a sadhaka. Like for example, somebody is aware, we are aware that chanting is very crucial or Harinam is Yuga Dharma. But how much conviction do I have that Harinam is Yuga Dharma? And if I'm convinced also, if I know a lot of verses, that how much I am dedicated to it. So to the degree I'm stooped in my own sense gratificatory plans and ulterior motives, to that degree, though I know Yuga Dharma is Harinam Sankirtan, it is actually confidential. It is confidential pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in which only a like Patit can enter, but somebody who is filled with ulterior motives can never enter. So this is one of the reasons. Third reason, what I thought is the reason dharma is confidential is it's related to the previous one, like mood of service. For example, we find Vedas describe both the things, ritualistic performances and pure devotional service also. We find in the example of these wives of Brahmanas, the Brahmanas, they were very scholar, they were very well knowledgeable about the principles of Vedas, the Karma Kandiya section of the Vedas. But still, when the opportunity to serve Krishna and Balram came, they could not take advantage of that opportunity. However, their simple wives could take advantage of that opportunity, because they had devotion and love for Lord, they had seva bhav for Lord. So unless we develop service attitude to Krishna, we will remain caught up with the external rituals and formalities. So we need to understand it becomes niyama agraha. They may be following all the rules and regulations, tantras, mantras, puja, kriya, etc. But if the heart is not there to serve, then they get bereft of the path of devotional service. You find the tribe, she was a tribal woman, that fruit seller lady was a tribal lady. Even she could also please Krishna. Then you find same in the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to South India, these Karma Kandiya Brahmanas were making fun of the simple, uneducated Brahmana who was trying to follow the instructions of his spiritual master. and reading Bhagavad Gita keeping upside down. So he could please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So very much we find that Lord is establishing this principle that dharma can be accessed or can be understood by the mood of by seva bhav. Like we find Sridhar Kolavecha, or in case of Shrutadev Bahulashva, both were devotees, but Shrutadev was not very like a king. He was a simple person. Shabri, who offered that fruits to Lord Ram. Guha was the king of tribal community in past times of Lord Ram. So you find that to the degree we develop this mood of service, to that degree the definition, not only the definition, but the conviction to follow dharma comes in our heart. To the degree there is bhoga bhav, so to that degree, despite knowing all the lectures and verses and doing bhakti, bhakti Vedanta, we will not be able to apply Yuga Dharma in our life. So Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita that we have to become a devotee. Bhakto sime sakha cheti rahasyam yetaduttamam. So that is the definition to understand dharma, not just theoretical understanding of ritualistic activities, which this quite often karma kandi people get caught up with. So I may appear to be not following karma kanda section of the Vedas because I'm chanting Hare Krishna. But if I am not actually applying the teachings of Gita and Bhagavad in my life and trying to live by these instructions, then I am not much different from the people who are caught up with Karma Kandiya section of the Vedas. So it's not just what we know, but it's also by what we follow. Devotional service is the path of grace. Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita that when we perform the path of bhakti, then we attract Lord's grace. Bhaktya mama vijanati yavan chasmi tatvatah. Same thing when we read Mam Chayovya Bicharana Bhakti Yogana Sevate, that those who engage in devotional service, they can rise above the modes. We attract the Lord's grace, and by that grace, we can transcend the modes and understand the confidential nature of the dharma. Ajamil could understand by the grace of Vishnu Dutas. By the grace of the holy name, it was revealed to him, and hence he could take shelter of holy name in the hour of crisis. So these Yamdutas are totally unaware of it, and they have become too surprised and too much anxious. Same way, when some turmoil happens in a sadhaka's life, or when some tragedies happen, to the degree we are unaware of the confidential nature of the dharma, or to the degree if the sadhaka is not applying the dharma, to that degree he will be also surprised that why is it happening to me? Because it's inconceivable. Like even Bhishma is telling in first canto, chapter 9, Nahi asya karhe chidrajan bhuman veda vidisitam yad vichignasaya yukta muhyanti kavayopihi. That despite our efforts, still the nature of dharma is inconceivable. So we have to depend on grace of Lord by taking shelter of the path of bhakti, surely not of karma and gyan section of the Vedas. So Vedic rituals, why it is made like in Chaitanya Charitamrita we read Anadi Bahir Mukha Jiva Krishna Bhuli Gela Taiva Krishna Veda Purana Karila. So just like there is a route map to exit from some complex situation or from some complex place, same way the Vedas are like route map for the conditioned soul, for the lost conditioned soul who is lost in 84 lakh species, to move outside, move out from material world to spiritual world, like GPS. So why these Vedic rituals have been given? It has been given for the for the gross, rebellious, conditioned souls. Just like sometimes the child doesn't study, so the tuition teacher tells the child that if you solve this problem, I'll give you this chocolate. So the chocolate is not needed for the student who is good in studies, or for the student who is willing, or who is happy to do his homework. But such kind of allurements are offered to the child who is quite distracted, and he needs some ulterior objectives to perform his activities. Same way, the Vedas are also offering that if you do this yajna, you'll go to Sarga. If you do this, this will happen. If you do that, that will happen. So it is only for alluring these rebellious conditioned souls that gradually they accept somebody's superiority and they try to rise above their rebellious nature and they take the path of bhakti. But getting caught up with toffee only, that is not the goal. So there is a shloka, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 42. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 42 says, it's very relevant. I'll just read it. यामिमां पुष्पतां वाचां प्रवदन्त्य विपश्चितः वेदवादरताः पार्थ नान्यदस्तीति वादिनः कामात्मानः स्वर्गपरा जन्मकर्मफलप्रदां क्रियाविशेषबहुलां भोगैश्वर्यगतिं प्रति. So Krishna is saying here, men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense enjoyment and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. So these people, they consider the Karma Kandiya section of the Vedas to be everything, to be whole in all. So Acharyas are telling that they are inexperienced people, like, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is writing, as fools are attached to the flowers of poisonous trees, knowing the results of such attractions, unenlightened men are similarly attracted by such heavenly opulence and the sense enjoyment thereof. So it's not very much appreciated by the Acharyas who are aspiring or who are inspiring the conditioned souls to take up the path of bhakti, more than getting caught up with these side benefits. They are generally sensual, these followers of Karma Kandiya sections, and they do not want anything other than heavenly pleasures of life. It is understood that there are gardens called Nandanandan and there is a good opportunity of aesthetic, beautiful woman and having profuse supply of somaras wine. Such bodily happiness is certainly sensual. Therefore, there are those who are purely attached to such material temporary happiness as lords of the material world. So this is the description according to the Acharya of these Karma Kandiya section followers. It does gradually uplift the conditioned soul because he accepts somebody's supremacy, and gradually because the Karma Kandiya section of the Vedas also have got some tinge of connection with the Supreme Lord, so they gradually get purified. But they should not consider even that itself to be the goal of everything. The disadvantages of this path is of Karma Kanda and Gyan Kanda is it's like improving the facilities in jail. The path of bhakti talks about getting out of jail, and the path of Karma Kanda and Gyan Kanda section, the practitioners quite often they become like prisoners who are just caught up with improving the facilities in jail and happily continuing their existence in material world. The Karma Kandiya section and Gyan Kandiya section, these sections have been compared to be like elephant bathing and by Shukdev Goswami himself just before few verses. The Karma Kandiya section has been compared to elephant bathing, just like elephant takes the dust again and again, rolls in the mud, and after repeatedly taking bath. Same way, though they may perform atonements, but the path of Karma Kanda can never free them from the sinful desire which are deep rooted in their heart. Likewise, the example is given, though the bamboos may be burnt, but still the seeds remain within the ground, which again fructifies. Same way, the Gyan Kanda section also does not remove the enjoying mentality from the heart of the conditioned souls. Then the shloka is given Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktya Vasudeva Parayanaha Agam Dhundvanti Karsena Niharam Iva Bhaskaraha. Just like if there is a fog, Prabhupada says that, if there is fog, then no matter how much technically advanced we are, the ship will remain at the same place. They cannot move even little further because we need to depend only on sun for the fog to be cleared. Same with the fog of ignorance, which is there in the heart of the conditioned soul, that cannot be dissipated unless the sun of devotional service rises in the heart of the jiva. The path of devotional service. The path of the grace of the Lord is the only path which is capable to remove the sinful desires from the heart of the conditioned soul. So this path of devotional service is the only solution for the continuation of birth and death. We find shlokas, we find transformation in the hearts of people like Brigari, Valmiki, and the shloka is filled in Bhakti scriptures like Kirata Hunandra Pilanda Pulkasha Abhirashambhaya Vanakasadaya Yenne Chapapa Yadapashraya Shraya Shuddhanti Tasmai Prabhavishnave Namaha. All these categories of sinful people can get purified merely by taking shelter of the path of bhakti. Prabhupada also says in one of his lecture in London which he gave, Prabhupada says that bhoga and tyaga, like karma kanda is about bhoga and gyan kanda is about tyaga, both are not natural for the jiva. It's not our natural function. Why? It's like if the property belongs to somebody else, there is no question of enjoying it or lording over it. Because Isha Vasam Idam Sarvam, it all belongs to Lord. So if I'm trying to enjoy somebody else's property, there is no question of becoming happy in that path. I'll surely invite tribulations and miseries for myself. Okay, what about Gyan Kanda? Gyan Kanda is about, Prabhupada says, I gave up Bank of America. When did Bank of America belong to me that I gave it up? So it never belonged to me. Something which belongs to me, I can give it up. So the path of karma kanda and gyan kanda, bhoga and tyag, both are not actually the true nature of the jiva, the eternal servant of Krishna. So Prabhupada gives very nice example that that if a child has got 100 rupees, so $100, Prabhupada says, now it belongs to father. The foolish child does not know that it belongs to father, nor he knows that how to utilize it. So the father cajoles the child, my dear child, please give me the note, give me the note. Actually belongs to him only. But because the child does not know how to utilize it, and the father does not want him to get entangled, so father requests the child. Same way Krishna is requesting the conditioned soul. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yajjuhosi dadasi yat. That do all your activities for me. Please surrender to me. Neither take karma kanda nor take gyan kanda. So the real religious principle, then the second paragraph of the purport, Prabhupada is quoting the same verse, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. That Krishna is telling us what are the real religious principles. On the contrary, we find Acharyas like Narottam Das Thakur have sung beautiful song in Padyavali. It comes, Prem Bhakti Chandrika it comes. Karma kanda, jnana kanda, kevala vishera bhanda, amrita baliya eva khai, nana yoni sada fire kadarya bhakshana kore, tara janmadha pate ay. So the Karma Kanda and Gyan Kanda section have been compared to Vishera Bhand. Vishera Bhand means they are poisonous. Why it's poisonous? Because it makes the jiva bereft of its true nature, the true wealth of our relationship with Krishna, the true wealth of devotional service. 5 minutes left. The fever of material existence does not reduce by following Karma Kanda and Gyan Kanda section. So hence, we should try to take up the path of bhakti. Preaching application for this is, it's very important for us to emphasize the superiority of the path of bhakti in our talk than the Karma Kanda section. of the Vedas, and also to emphasize the purpose. Like for example, if government is issuing license for particular suppliers to sell liquor, it does not mean that everybody is supposed to drink liquor. Same way, just because the Vedas are offering Karma Kandya and Gyan Kandya section in it, it does not mean everybody is supposed to follow them. But it's meant for those grossly rebellious conditioned souls, so that they also accept the shelter of the Vedas and gradually get uplifted. Prabhupada himself, in his own, in Krishna Balram temple opening, Prabhupada told, though there was yajna going on, but the superior was the Harinam Sankirtan which was going on. And in own Prabhupada's sannyas ceremony, Akinchan Das Babaji Maharaj was doing Harinam Sankirtan. So these people, these brahmanas who were performing yajna in Prabhupada's sannyas time, so they increased their volume of yajna, their chanting of mantras. And then Akinchan Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj increased his volume of Harinam. And then Prabhupada was very happy, and Prabhupada is noting, yes, increase. So Prabhupada was always in favor of catching the essence of the dharma, which is not only the external rituals, but the internal process of hearing and chanting, the 9 processes of devotional service. Because these principles are transcendental, on account of which it can make the jiva also transcend all the 3 modes. Savay pumsam baro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje ahetuki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. The real satisfaction will come in heart only by following the real dharma. And that too, ahetuki and apratihata. Ahetu and apratihata can never take place on the path of karma kanda and gyan kanda. It can happen only by mercy of Lord when you perform bhakti. And that will only suprasidati, that will only satisfy the conditioned souls. So Prabhupada emphasized, it's like, bhoga and tyag. We should neither become bhogi nor become tyagi. We should take the path of bhakti, which is connecting everything in service of the Lord. Iha yasya harir dasya karmana manasagira nikhilashvapi avastasu jivan mukta sauchate. So the Prabhupada wanted all of us to just receive what he has given us and do not do further research. And following in the footsteps of Mahajanas, if we follow the path of bhakti, then we will also remain confident and remain satisfied in what we have got. Otherwise, the path of bhakti becomes quite bewildering, because apparently gopis did not do very moral thing by running to forest in dead of the night, leaving their family members to meet Krishna. It does not look moral. Same way, Arjuna also did not look moral when he committed violence against his own relatives. Likewise, Bali Maharaj did not do something glorious apparently from external point of view by disobeying his own spiritual master. So if one who does not take shelter of acharyas, does not take shelter of Guru, Sadhu and Shastras, one will surely get bewildered about the concept of dharma. That how these personalities have become Mahajan who apparently acted immorally. So some practical application of this is we should take the path of bhakti very seriously, and we should also try to apply our theoretical understanding in our application. Otherwise, in form of sadhaka also, for example, in form of sadhaka also, I might not take advantage of the path of bhakti. I may not be practicing bhakti yoga actually, just though I may be externally following what Prabhupada has given. In Madhya Lila, it's very nice. I'll just conclude with this 1 or 2 things, 2 points. In Madhya Lila, chapter 1, text 199, it's compared with wet stool and dry stool. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur commentary it is. He says, whether wet stool or dry stool, it is stool only. So one should, so all our pious and sinful activities are like stool. And just like if the child smears stool on his body, he cannot cleanse his stool by himself. He needs the help of mother. Same way, life after life after life, the conditioned soul, whatever activity it has performed, it's like a stool upon our body, and it cannot be cleansed by our efforts, but it can be cleansed only by mercy of Guru and Krishna. And that, depending on the mercy of the Guru and Krishna, is called the path of bhakti. So with this, I would like to conclude. Following the footsteps of Mahajanas, we should take up the path of bhakti seriously and know the futility of karma kanda and gyan kanda section. At the same time, in our practices and conviction also, we should not allow the mentality of karma kanda and gyan kanda. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes, for any questions, feedbacks, corrections.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for Prabhu for your very nice class. This one question I always am having is, we say that, as you quoted this karma kanda, gyan kanda, it's like elephant bath. The person again comes, he again commits same sinful activities after performing whatever atonement and all. So, but we see even in the path of devotional service, sometimes it is seen that often, pata nahi often I should say or not, but it is seen that devotees also, sometimes the devotees after many, many years of practice also fall prey to bad habits or fall prey to some bad activities. So if the bhakti is niharam eva bhaskaraha, just the appearance of bhakti can eradicate everything, all sinful reactions, then what's happening with this? So it sometimes it reduces the faith on bhakti also. So what's your solution?
A very good question. Yeah, it does bewilder the sadhaka. As to the degree we are not convinced of what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, like neha bhikramanasho asti pratyevayona vidyate swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So the sadhaka, when a sadhaka is gets entangled or gets affected or haunted by his old vasanas and old anarthas. I was hearing a lecture of Bhakti Vaibhav long back, that it says that if your vehicle is going and if the sinful activities are there, then it's like your speed is reducing because of heavy rains on the road. Because of heavy rains, the speed reduces. So in our short sightedness, we may think that the sadhaka has gone off due to his some bad habit which haunted him in course of his progress. But actually in Krishna's eyes, he's still making progress. On the contrary, this is not the case with karma kanda and gyan kanda section. For them, there is no use. Nothing will be counted. Everything will become null and void. But on the path of bhakti, there is always a gradual process. Nothing gets lost. Nothing goes in vain, even little performed. Because it will protect the soul from falling into the greatest danger of falling back to lower species of life. So why does it happen is, as I said, that it's not external, it's the internal mood behind the practice. That with what mood am I practicing my morning program, with what attitude am I chanting, with what attitude am I serving devotees, what is my outlook towards what I have got, towards Prabhupada, towards Guru Maharaj, towards Acharyas. So if this is not proper, then even after years, if somebody is getting astray, it's not very shocking. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, basically it's internal mood of sincerity and internal consciousness and attitude of the sadhaka. So if we see only external and think that this devotee is going nice, it may be shocking for us if he goes into crisis tomorrow. So the advancement of the devotee is not judged by his external fame, position, knowing how many shlokas, how nice classes he gives, or how many temples he has made, or how many projects he is handling. But it's more internal, that what is his sincerity, what is his commitment to serve, what is his like outlook towards what Prabhupada has given. Morning program, reading Prabhupada books, not offending devotees, not criticizing devotees, being simple in nature. So this definition is more important than the other definition which I told before. So if you are caught up with this definition, the second definition of the real practitioner or devotee, we will not be bewildered. When somebody, of course, in Krishna's eyes, nobody falls because it's the path of bhakti. But even in our eyes, also, we will not get bewildered if you try to catch the real definition of the bhakti that a sadhaka should do. Hare Krishna. If anybody would like to add something or else or correct me, please feel frank.
Hare Krishna. So you were telling in the starting, so regarding that only I wanted to ask, like you were telling that when we distribute so many books and do so much of Harinam also, still people don't change much. So I wanted to ask in that connection only, that you were telling that the people are not getting knowledge in parampara and all, but the books which we are distributing, which is recognized also as most distributed books,
Yeah.
at least we tell, I don't know exactly. So then still why it is not happening? Because the knowledge is in parampara only.
What is not happening?
Still the change is not happening. That much transformation is not happening. You may
Which-
see one or two examples which are in the classes when there is inspirational class for book distribution, like when Sir Lakshan Prabhu gives class. So then there are some examples like that. But these are quite rare in comparison to the number of books which are going. And people are reading also. And I have met so many people. They read, but nothing happens. Means in the sense they are not able to even understand also. Many a times. Or not able to follow, even if they get to know something.
So
Since
basically,
you mentioned, so I just wanted to
Yeah.
ask.
Yes, Prabhu, what you're telling is correct. Basically, we distribute Prabhupada books because Prabhupada wanted his books to be distributed. And we distribute Prabhupada books because it's the desire of our current acharyas to distribute books. And we don't know what will happen to them, but at least we will be able to please Guru and Krishna if we distribute Prabhupada books. And surely Prabhupada books will be the hope for the humanity in darkest situation on the planet. So books are like, these books are like permanent asset in hands of conditioned soul, which will help him in the hour of crisis, which may not be visible to us apparently in short term. But we need to put faith on the words of acharyas that it was their desire that if we just distribute books, everything will happen. So with that faith, we should keep distributing Prabhupada books. More than being bothered about the results, we should be bothered about, am I trying my best to please Guru and Krishna by fulfilling their desire to distribute their books?
Yeah, I'm not asking about why we should distribute. I'm asking why change is not happening.
True, change is happening, though it may not be visible to us in short-term duration. Because we don't know the track of the eternal lifespan of eternal existence of the conditioned soul, life after life after life. We have heard so many stories that how books are changing somebody's life, somebody being protected from committing suicide, somebody's life got transformed, heart got transformed, relationship got saved. So, if you keep a long, broad vision towards the eternal existence of the jiva on his track of continuation of birth and death, then a book coming in the hand of a conditioned soul is a great turning point in his journey of eternal birth and death, which may not be visible to us, but actually it does happen. His faith on material life starts going down the day when he touches Prabhupada books. That is the potency of these books. It may not be visible to us in our few years of picture or vision. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, there apparently some contradiction appears in your statements. Like while giving class, you told that nothing is happening by distribution books.
This question you're asking.
No, I'm commenting. So we are getting confused whether we should distribute books or not.
Okay.
So you have to.
I'll tell. I'll clear this. I'm sorry if
So
my
you,
statement
while giving a class, you made us appear that distributing books is not something potential current, in current situation, why people are not changing.
Correct.
So
yes,
now
Praja.
you have to solve this.
Yes, Praja, I'll solve it. I agree. In the initial part of my class, I did tell that so many books are available, but still people are not understanding. But later part, I'm telling that we should distribute books. I'll reconcile both this part. We should distribute books for pleasure of Krishna and Prabhupada because it was their desire and it's a desire of the acharyas. But the thing comes to confidential nature of dharma, that will not happen only by distributing books. That will happen when we propagate the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita in a systematic way, the way Prabhupada gave. So we should also try to take up the second part of the distribution of books, which is to cultivate and to conduct the systematic study and the systematic propagation of knowledge of Bhagavad Gita in form of courses or classes or connecting the people to the programs.
So this puts another contradiction that books are not potential then.
Books are potential, and together with that, Guru is also important. The
Okay.
guide who helps us to apply that knowledge
Okay.
in life and see the transformation. Then the knowledge of dharma becomes unconfident. It's no more confidential.
So see, books also potential depends upon the receiver. If somebody is very sincere follower and he gets a book, his life also gets changed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So books are potential.
Correct.
Secondly, we have books also. We are in the devotee association also. Still, there is no change happening. So problem is with whom?
Problem is neither with books nor with devotee association. It's in devotees association, are we actually trying to apply the knowledge of dharma that we have received through books?
So any sincere seeker can be uplifted
Yes.
when he comes in contact with spiritual nature.
And
So
when he applies that knowledge
so that's what. So application part is important for the performer. Facilities are there,
yes.
but how seriously one is taking, water where people are drowning in the liquid of devotional service, but they are not, they are not getting touched by it, like fish in the water. It never gets wet. Although, whole life stays in the water only.
Yeah.
So it depends upon how practitioner is taking it. So books also potential, the association also potential. Only this individual who is taking it,
How is it?
how open he is, how close he is, that will decide his future,
Correct.
his
Correct.
advancement. And regarding our Amshapro's question, like people are falling. So there are two ways we have to look at it. One is from that individual side and one is from our side. So we should have very compassionate mood towards that personality because he endeavored so much in spiritual life, and we should wish well for him, and we should take that fall down as a caution so that I don't become neglectful in my devotional service. Okay, so that way we should take. Otherwise everything is allowed, anything is allowed, Krishna is there now. That will not work. Because we have to be careful. Although Krishna is compassionate, he can uplift even Andhra Pulinda Pulkasha. So we should not think that I'm more advanced than them, so I can do much. We don't have to become worse to get Krishna's attention.
Yeah.
So that way we should take that. And that individual also should take that I have to be serious in my spiritual life. I have now somehow fallen because of my bad practice and my offensive nature and all that. So he also has to repent and take devotional service more seriously. So that way we should, hold some vision we should have to the situation. So we should not rejoice people's fault, or we should not feel that I am great when some people fall. So how we should have compassionate heart, otherwise people will not get help. If we don't cry, devotees living, then what kind of devotees we are? So it's very, a question of our, relation with devotees. So thank you for your presentation. It's wonderful, wholesome, and with a lot of conviction you spoke, and you have covered all the points which are to be presented. So we thank you very much. Sudhamnath Prabhu ki jai. Next presentation.
So आज हम पढ़ रहे हैं Okay. So we are reading from 5th canto, 18th chapter and slok number 11. Hindi, English, okay? English. So these are the prayers offered by the Lord to the Lord by the residents of Jambudvip. 5th canto, 18th chapter and verse number 11. Yat sangalabdham nijavira vaibhavam तीर्थम मुहुम संस्मृतम हिमानसम हरत्याजो अनंता श्रुतिभिर्गतो अंगजम को वै न सेवेते मुकुंद vikramam. By associating with the persons for whom the Supreme Personality of Godhead Mukunda in the all in all, one can hear of his powerful activities and soon come to the understand them. The activities of the Mukunda are so potent that simply by hearing of them, one immediately associate with the Lord. For a person who constantly and very eagerly hear the narrations of the Lord's powerful activities, the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead in the form of sound vibration, enters within his heart and cleanses it of all contamination. On the other hand, although bathing in a Ganges diminishes bodily contaminations and infections, this process and the process of visiting holy places can cleanse the heart only after a long time. Therefore, who is the sane man who will not associate with devotees to quickly perfect his life? Purport. Bathing in the Ganges can certainly cure one of many infectious diseases, but it cannot cleanse one's metal attached mind, which creates all kinds of contamination in material existence. However, one who directly associates with the Supreme Lord by hearing of his activity cleanses the dirt from his mind and very soon comes to the Krishna consciousness. So the Goswami confirms in Srimad Bhagavatam, Shunvatam Sakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam Hridayantasto hi abhadrani Vidinoti Surhatam Satam. The Supreme Lord within everyone's heart becomes very pleased when a person hears the narrations of his activities, and he personally cleanses the dirt from the minds of the listener. Hridayantasto hi abhadrani vidinoti. He washes off all the dirt from the mind. Material existence is caused by the dirty things within the mind. If one can cleanse his mind, he immediately comes to the original position of Krishna consciousness, and thus his life becomes successful. Therefore, all the great saints in the devotional line very strongly recommend the process of hearing. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the congregational chanting of Hare Krishna mantra to give everyone a chance to hear Krishna's holy name. For simply by hearing a Hare Krishna Maha mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, one becomes purified. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Therefore, our Krishna conscious movement is chiefly engaged in chanting the Hare Krishna Maha mantra all over the world. After one's mind becomes cleansed by chanting Hare Krishna, one gradually comes to the platform of Krishna consciousness and then reads the books like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Nectar of Devotion. In this way, one becomes more and more purified of material contamination, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी. By regularly hearing the Bhagavatam and rendering the service unto the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is practically destroyed, and loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with the transcendental songs, is established as irrevocable fact. In this way, simply by hearing of the powerful activities of the Lord, the devotee's heart becomes almost completely cleansed of material contamination, and thus his original position as an eternal servant who is a part and parcel of Lord's become manifest. While the devotee is engaged in devotional service, the passionate and ignorant modes of the material nature are gradually vanquished, and then he acts only in the mode of goodness. At that time, he becomes happy and gradually advances in Krishna consciousness. All the great acharyas strongly recommend that people should be given a chance to hear about the Supreme Lord. Then success is assured. The more we cleanse the dirt of material attachment from our hearts, the more we will attracted by the Krishna's name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and activities. This is sum and substance of Krishna conscious movement. Hare Krishna. So this verse is mainly talking about the importance of association, devotees association, and hearing the Krishna Katha. So hearing the Krishna Katha is very, very important in everyone's life, along with association of the devotees. So these are the two things, actually they are interlinked. It is not like that we are taking the association and not hearing the Katha. The association is really meaningful when we hear Krishna Katha. So both are interlinked. So the great personals like Vidura and we see in Srimad Bhagavatam, they are traveling from one place to another place. And they are going to Grahastha's house. So they want to deliver the people of this world by giving Krishna Katha. So like for Vidura, it is explained that you are tirthi kurvanti tirthani, because they carry a Krishna in their heart, the pure devotees of the Lord. So they can, whatever they speak, that directly touches the other person's heart. So the main key factor of the association is Krishna Katha. Wherever the Krishna Katha is spoken by the great devotees, the transformation of the heart surely takes place. The real problems of the life is in this life are not the political problems or any economic problems. The real problem is people are going away from the Lord. They are ignorant of the Lord's position and their position. So when they are come in the association of the devotees, then they are able to understand, oh, I am really the servant of the Lord. And my eternal position is to Krishnera Nityadas. Then they will take up the Krishna consciousness, and all the problems what they are facing, other material problems, seems to be insignificant. When Prabhupada went to the West, there are so many problems in America. There, Vietnam war is going on, hippie culture is going on. But when they hear the Krishna Katha, they all forget other problems, and hippies become happies. So that from the life of Prabhupada, we can understand that how the power of the association. Just by associating with Prabhupada and hearing Krishna Katha, in the form of Harinam or whatever the Lord's messages, Bhagavad Gita and Chaitanya Charitamrita, they got purified. So the duty of the sadhus is to spread the glories of the Lord. Prabhupada gives an example that we should not go for a rich man's house for eating a nice eatables. Actually, we should go to the Grahastha's house or anyone's house just so that we can glorify the Lord and bring that living entity at the lotus feet of the Lord. So there are so many anarthas in one jiva's life. There is no other solutions like any medical solution or any modern solution so that we can purify anyone's heart. So it is only by the means, by the Krishna Katha, one's heart is get cleansed. Otherwise, we see that in the most advanced countries, people have everything, but still they fight like a dogs, cats and dogs. So what Bhakti Thakur was telling to Prabhupada when the first meet, the real problem is what? Because they don't know about Krishna. So you go and preach the glories. Preach the message of the Bhagavad Gita, message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world, so that the whole humanity can be saved. So this Krishna Katha has itself, he is the solution for our all sufferings. So whenever we cannot understand, once in Prabhupada right side, it is beyond the human understanding how the Krishna Katha eliminates all the contamination and brings one to his natural position, that is Krishna and Nityadas. So in Prabhupada, in this purport only writes that the Supreme Lord within everyone's hearts become very much pleased when a person hears the narrations of his activities. That is Srinvatam Swakata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana. So just by giving oral reception to the message of the Godhead, Krishna become pleased. It is not like that person is hearing, he is understanding also. No, so many times we hear that we are not the body, we are the soul, and we have to surrender sarva dharman parityaja. So immediately that living entity may not able to execute. But since it's only endeavor from the living entity side, Krishna become pleased. Okay, he's endeavoring to hear. So give him realization. So because Supreme Lord within everyone's heart become pleased when his glories are heard. So living entity, what he has to do? Just he has to give the oral reception to this transcendental subject matters. By this, Krishna become pleased, and when Krishna become pleased, everything is happy. In Kunti Maharani's prayers, Prabhupada writes that it's our, at the end when Kunti Maharani prays and Krishna gives a little smile. So Prabhupada writes that so our all endeavors, goal of the life is just see the smile on the face of the Lord. If Krishna is happy, he gives everything. So here, Jiva is giving oral reception to his transcendental subject matters. Then Lord within the heart as a Paramatma becomes happy and immediately he removes contamination of the heart. So we see that Srila Prabhupada writes a letter to Indira Gandhi because Indira Gandhi in 1970s, she is going to a very difficult phase because in West Pakistan war was going on, East Pakistan war was going on, Khalistan, these Punjabi people are asking for separate state. So many problems are going on. That time she was confused. So Prabhupada writes, ki, okay, Mahatma Gandhi, you can solve all political problems just by discussing Srimad Bhagavatam class before parliament begins. So Prabhupada writes, Prabhupada has such a convictions that just by giving oral receptions, all contaminations of the heart will be gone. And if all contamination of heart goes, then there will be no political or no economic or there is no problem in this world only. So Prabhupada has such a conviction and he writes to Indira Gandhi also. Even in the story of Kulashekar, we see that Kulashekar Maharaj he was absorbed in Lord Ram's Katha in Ramayana. He was hearing, and all the people who are coming with the problems, they are coming and okay, they saw that, oh, king is reading Ramayana, okay, we will also hear. And people used to forget their problems and they used to hear Katha only. Lord's Katha only. So ultimately there was no problem only. Every day there was a Katha only. All people used to come and hear, and at the end they used to forget what was their problem. So, but the ministers, they worried, array, because they didn't have faith on Krishna Katha. So, but Kulashekar had a complete faith. He was completely absorbed in Katha. So, at one step, whole kingdom become started to do the Krishna Katha in Raj Darbar also, in Chowdi also, in everywhere, nook and corner, everyone. There was no gossip, no other material talk. Just there was Krishna Katha. So by seeing this, the some of the atheist ministers, they were worried and they were trying to plot some uh, con- conspiracy against the Vaishnavas. So, and when Kulishekara comes to know that these ministers are worried, they don't have faith on the Lord, then he thought that being with such a atheistic people is more dangerous than being with the serpents. So let us give up such kinds of atheistic people's association, and I will go to Srirangam. So in his life, we can understand that Krishna, by doing simply Krishna Katha, we eliminates all problems. Once Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj came to Prabhupada with so many problems, Jew had so many problems, this had Vrindavan has so many problems. And when he was about to tell to Prabhupada, Prabhupada understood and he told, you read Bhagavad Gita page to page? So he said, no, Prabhupada. Then, okay, then for 2 days he continuously read. And after 3 days, when he came to Prabhupada, Prabhupada asked, what was your problem? He said, no problem. Hridayantasto Vadrani. So I was cleansed from all anarthas, and there is no problem, Prabhupada. There is only opportunity for service. So this is great benediction by the Lord, that Lord has given us his glories to listen. So Lord sees that Jivatma is struggling so much for simple Shulla Sukhaya. In Bhagavatam Shloka comes, Soham Nrinaya Sulla Sukhaya Dukkham Mahadgatanam Viramaya Tasya Pravartaye Bhagavatam Puranam Yadha Sakshat Bhagavan Rishibhya. Actually, Maitreya Muni is telling to Vidura that Soham Nrinaya Shulla Sukhaya Dukkham. This living entity is struggling so much for Shulla Sukha. Ahar Nidra Bhayamaitun, for Shulla Sukha, he's struggling so much. So by seeing this struggle, Lord become very compassionate and he gave this Srimad Bhagavatam so that by hearing, one will be elevated. So even demigods, demigods are praying in the description of Jambudvipa, island of Jambudvipa. The demigods are praying ki na yatra narayana pada pankajam. So we are living in heavenly planets. What is use of such a opulence? We are getting everything here. For Ahar Nidra Mayavadhan is very so sophisticated enjoyment there. They need not to marry and maintain family life also. They can freely mix with anyone, and whatever they can eat, how much they can eat, they can eat. There is no constipation also. So such a kind of highly enjoyment is given, but still they are praying, na yatra narayana pada pankaja. This planet is waste. This enjoyment is waste, because in the heaven there is no remembrance of the lotus feet of the Narayan. In heavenly planet, we don't find anyone coming and giving Bhagavatam class. There will be your odd man out. Like in a five-star hotel, there is a marriage is going on, and with your relatives, all of your relatives are eating nice foodstuffs, having nice beverages, but you are going and eating only salad. What what they will say, everyone. Yeah? So you are odd man out. So in heavenly planet, there is no one comes and gives pravachan. Hey, atyara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagara. No one will say. So this planet is waste. Demigods are praying because na yatra narayana pada. There are no glories explained. Because why? And we cannot remember Lord also here, because ati indriya utsayat. There are so much enjoyment here. We see that one some devotees, new devotees, after marriage, they disappear for 6 months. We call Prabhuji, where are you? So, so after some years back, he comes to again. After crossing 30, after having one child, he will come, Prabhuji, I am there, I want to start 16 rounds. So, small enjoyment he gets, he will forget devotional service. But in heavenly planet, they are always with apsaras, always with so much of engagement, sense gratification. So how they can remember Narayana? So this planet is waste because there is no glories can be heard here. And further says, hey, you Bharat Varsha people, you are very fortunate. Kshanayusham Bharata Bhujayo Varam. Ki Are Baba, even for a moment stay in Bharatavarsha is more valuable than staying for kalpas in Brahmaloka. So, so your your life is very short. Means demigods are telling, Baba, your life is only around 60, 70 years or 100 years. That is very insignificant compared to the life of demigods. But still you are more fortunate. Because, why? Because the only plane from Vaikuntha is comes to Bharatavarsha only. From here only, anyone can go to Vaikuntha Loka. So when Dhruv Maharaj was going, so all the demigods are praying, "Hey, how you are fortunate." So if some living entity goes to Vaikuntha from Vimana, all demigods, they glorify him because from Bharatavarsha only one can go. And at the end, they describes why Bharatavarsha is so glorious. Na yatra Vaikunta katha sudapaga. A place where there is no rivers of sweet topics about the Lord. Means they are saying that which place is not good for staying. So in heavenly planet, there are rivers, not only simple water rivers, but there are rivers of sugar cane, even jamun, even amras. So all kinds of different beverages, rivers are there, but there is no one river. Which river? The river of sweet topics of the Lord's. And means there were no glories of the Lord sung there. Such place is useless. Don't stay there. Demigods are saying. Second one is na sadhavo bhagavatas tadarshaya. No devotee engaged in service on the bank of such rivers of piety. Means there are no devotees who are engaged in devotional service. Means there are only bhogis. There are no devotees, those who are engaged in that river of Lord's glorification. Na yatra yaggesha makha mahotsavaha. No festival of Sankirtan Yagya to satisfy the Lord. So such these three places they are not suitable for residence, where there is no glories of the Lord sung, where there is no service of the Lord, devotees are not serving the Lord, and where there is no Sankirtan Yagya is going on. Such a place is unfit for the residence. And all this is heavenly planets where we don't find these things. So this is unfit for the stay. So you Bharatvarsha people are very fortunate. You are getting all these three things. You get the devotees, those are engaged in service of the Lord. There are glories of the Lord always sung in Bharatvarsha. And Harinam Sankirtan Yajna is going on. So even higher planetary people, higher planetary demigods also praying the Bharatvarsha. Because here we are getting to hear the glories of the Lord. Even the Lord Krishna, he appears in different avataras for some period in Satyaloka, in Satyuga, Treta Yuga. For some period he appears and he goes. When he appears, whoever sees the Lord, they are get delivered. But what about the other people after the incarnation of the Lord? What they will do? They don't able to see the Lord. What is their fate? So for that deliverance of all the people, Krishna appeared as Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna Swadam Upagate Dharma Jnana Devi Saha Kalo Nashta Drishamesha Puranarko Udinoditaha. So Krishna appears and he again go back to his world. But these the glories of the Lord in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. It will be there to deliver the all jivas. Even Lord is there in this planet, or Lord goes to his abode. But the Srimad Bhagavatam will be always present in the form of glories of the Lord, which will deliver the person. The person will get the same benefit as that of the Lord in on the same planet or not. So in a Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a nice picture. There one sage is holding the Srimad Bhagavatam and all other people are fighting in dark age of Kali Yuga. And Srimad Bhagavatam giving the light to all this people of this world. Means it is giving the light and delivering all the fallen souls. Puna narko udinoditaha. In such dark age of Kali Yuga, the Srimad Bhagavatam is arisen. And when someone hears the glories of the Lord, it is just like when the sun rays comes, immediately the darkness will be removed immediately. So it is a property of the light. So it is a property of the water to be liquidified. It is a property of the sugar to become a sweet. So similarly, it is a property of the Lord's glories that whenever one hears, his darkened heart will be enlightened with the Krishna Prem. So it is such a benediction, but still some not able to take the advantage of this. So Prabhupada writes, only one who is fortunate can have the opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of pure devotees of the Lord. It tells in different slokas purport. Only the fortunate souls, who are the fortunate? In Bhagavad Gita, they tells, Tesham antagatam papam jananam punyakram. In his previous lives, all the sinful activity he cleansed from that one. Such is a fortunate person who gets to hear the opportunity to hear the glories of the Lord. And another possibility is that if the living entity somehow or other by hard endeavor, he gives just oral reception by his own sweet will. By that, these two conditions, by that, the living entity becomes the fortunate. In the beginning of the Valmiki Ramayana, also Valmiki Muni writes, who can hear this Ramayana? Purarjitani papani nashamayanti yasya vai Ramayane mahapriti tasya vai bhavati dhruvam. One whose all past life sins got eradicated, such a person's get enthusiasm to hear Lord's glories. And one who is not purified by his heart or his sinful activities, what will happen to him? Ramayana vartamane papa pashena yatritaha. Means for such person, the sinful acts only, it will drive him to long distance so that he can't hear the Lord's glories. Like in our village, whenever I go to preaching, I put a big speaker so that all village people can hear. But still some people, they say, "Are kya sadhu ji disturb kar raha hai?" Like that they say, and they go to far place. Till that time, speaker also doesn't hear. they go and they do some, and they all do some party activities, enjoyment activities. So only the fortunate, Prabhupada, only the fortunate souls get an opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So somehow we get the opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So we should become serious enough and try to hear and apply in our life. Because after so many lifetimes, we are getting this opportunity. So if you see the example of Rukmini Devi. So Rukmini didn't know the Krishna only. She is in Vidarbha, Lord is in Dwarka. But when Narad Muni came and told the glories of the Lord, then the love, the eternal love arise in her heart. She writes, Shrutvan gunan bhuvana sundara shunvatam te nirvishta karna vivare haratangutapam rupam drisham drishimatam akilartha labam त्वय्याच्युता विशति चित्रमपत्रपं मे श्रुत्वान् गुणान् भुवन सुंदरम. Lord, by hearing your Nam Rupa Gun Leela, all your activities, I sold my heart. So, and by hearing your all glories, tapatram, haratanga tapam, means all the, whatever the anarthas are there or whatever bodily distress, remove the bodily distress, and having also heard by your beauty, which fulfills all the visual desires of those who see you. Means Rukmini didn't saw the Lord, didn't seen the Lord face to face, but still by hearing the glories of the Lord only, she can experience all the beauty of the Lord. So Lord is in Vaikunta. For our jivas, there is no access for the Lord. But still we can experience the Lord in our heart just by giving the oral reception to the glories of the Lord. That is the potency of the glories of the Lord. It is non-different from the Lord. So, it will, everything will take place, but just one criteria. What is that? There should be qualified hearer and there should be qualified speaker. What is the qualification of a speaker? So in first canto only, Prabhupada glorifies Sutta Goswami. One who is free from all six anarthas is can eligible candidate to sit on Vyasasana. So one who is free from all six kinds of anarthas, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, that means one should be pure from the heart. That person only can, if such a person speaks, then it will be Krishna Katha will be effective. And speaker is just, he has to be sincere, submissive, and attentive hearer. That is just one qualification for the speaker. He should be attentive enough. So, by this, both the speaker and hearer are there, then all the effects what we discussed is going to take place. And the ultimate conclusion, Prabhupada writes, he writes that all the great acharyas strongly recommends that people should be given chance to hear about the Supreme Lord. So to deliver all the living entities from all the troubles. So all the acharyas declaring strongly that we should give chance to hear about the Lord. So then the success is assured. Okay, you may be given whatever you give facility for the all the living entities, but the main opportunity, what should be given? To hear the glories of the Lord. The more we cleanse the dirt of the material attachment from our heart, the more we will be attracted by Krishna's name, form, qualities, peripheral and activities. This is sum and substance of Krishna consciousness movement. Prabhupada writes, "See why I created this ISKCON." One of the seven objective, what is say, ISKCON's purposes of ISKCON's one is to give opportunity to all the people of this world to discuss about Krishna Katha. So by giving such opportunity, their heart will be get cleansed, and by such thing they will be attracted to Krishna's name, form, qualities. So Prabhupada organized all such ISKCON. He organized in such a way that everyone gets chance to hear Harinam, Srimad Bhagavatam, and by that they will be get attracted to Krishna Katha. Prabhupada wrote all the books by sleeping only 2 hours a night. So he did such all the such a tremendous activity just to give opportunity to the whole world, so that they all will be delivered by just hearing Krishna Katha. That are the glories of Krishna's qualities, holy name. Hare Krishna. Amazing. Okay. Take. Hare Krishna. You can comment anything, whatever. If give some suggestion.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu, for very fluent and very nice class. So it seems sometimes bhakti appears to be very, very easy and simple. So as you were telling, it was very hope giving that simply hear Krishna Katha and everything will happen. But sometimes it appears very tough also because we have to apply so many things. So is it, can you resolve this? Is it so simple or so tough?
So question is very elaborative. Means question is very, it needs to be described little bit elaborately so that it's a very general question. So how bhakti is difficult? Doing is difficult. Yes, I am asking.
See, if we are just to hear, it's just hearing is all right. But then we have to follow so many things, we have to attentively chant. That also so many that Vishaya Sangara, Tarangarangini, and Kya Utsahamai, so many problems are there in between. So to deal with all these things seems to be very difficult.
Yes, for the living entity, it is very difficult because it has so many contaminations in the heart. Just to sit for simply chanting the holy name in the morning, he remembers all the activities that he has to do in the daytime. He has to earn money, he has to deal with so many materialistic people, he has to maintain his family, he has to take his child to hospital. So many problems are there. But still, Krishna gives the hope that just by your simple endeavor, you may not be able to chant attentively or hear attentively, but just by your endeavor only, I will purify you. So, just by this is only hope for the living entity that he will be delivered. So, just we have to endeavor. Endeavor is in our hand, and reward is in the Krishna's hand. Correct. Hope I answered your question.
Hare Krishna, Ranchod Prabhu, Sharan Prabhu. Thank you very much for very hope-giving class. The class before this was very operating. My operation happened actually, but thank you for giving me hope, Prabhu. So my question is on this purport of line of Prabhupada, that see, what one thing you tell to do, Harinam or Harikatha? Harinam or Harikatha? So here Prabhupada writes, I am reading, after one's mind becomes cleansed by chanting Hare Krishna, one gradually comes to the platform of Krishna consciousness and then reads books like Bhagavad Gita, etc. In this way, one becomes more and more purified. And then he ends with saying that, we should give chance to hear about Krishna. That is sum and substance of this moment. So is it and, is it or is it after? Harinam and Harikatha both are required. It's very clear. So can you please help what Prabhupada is saying here?
Actually, someone asked Prabhupada, chanting Hare Krishna, what is the goal after getting by successfully chanting Hare Krishna? Prabhupada said, we will chant Hare Krishna only. So, these are the eternal things, glories of the Lord and holy name of the Lord. They are interdependent. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he appeared in this Kali Yuga, he gave a special concession. Okay, you take, any one of you take Hare Krishna, chant the holy name. Nam Namakara Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave a special potency in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, that anyone hears, his heart will be immediately cleansed. And after the cleansing, further cleansing will be happened by hearing this Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Chap, reading all this. And after that, he will understand And again, he will take the holy name seriously and come back to Godhead. Means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave first instructions to chant the holy name, because Kali Yuga people are, by reading Shastras, you cannot understand the importance of the holy name. So first you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then you will eligible to read all the Shastras, and by reading Shastras, you will again become more cautious, more qualified to chant holy name properly. So this is my understanding. So anything is there, you can. So there is nice line, nice question also Prabhuji raised. This is my understanding, and nothing is written like here. Huh?
Hare Krishna. So we thank Ranchuchan Prabhu for his wonderful presentation. It was amazing. He has covered this nice topic for our purification and enlightenment. So I appreciate he has done such a well prepared class he gave. And some improvement, like when we give class, so we should take care that nobody gets, specifically brahmacharis, when they give class, they become heavy on grihasthas. When grihasthas give class, they become heavy on brahmacharis. So we should not quote such a thing, something controversial, which will further distance the relations between the two parties. So in your class, there was one quotation. So you please take care that it should not become a issue.
He absconded for 6 months.
So like after marriage, it doesn't happen with everyone. You should not generalize it. And so we should take little carefully. We should put our class. People, those are very critical. They will not listen in the class. They will keep this one in mind. So we should not unnecessarily become a prey to such critics. Otherwise, it's wonderful. And thank you. You answered so well for the question of Harinam, Harikatha, how it goes. So we do all things all the time to do those things eternally. Okay, thank you.
Right.
So we stop for the day. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.